Great. Thank you, Clau. Perfect. Randiss, thank you for being here with me. Really appreciate your time here today.
My pleasure.
So I have had the good fortune of knowing you for the past almost 6 years now, but not everybody else has been able to get to know you the way I have. So I don't know if you'd be able to tell our audience just a little bit about who you are, where you're from, what you do for a living, the person that you are.
Okay, so being in Mexico, we know they Randiss. I'm from Chicago, particularly the west side of Chicago.
Okay.
And for work, I work with this organization that has impacted my life beyond measure called After School Matters.
Okay.
And I'm a program specialist, so I support about 25 of our programs on the west side of Chicago, which is obviously the side of town I'm from. And when I was in high school, I was actually part of ASM, this music program where I learned to play piano. So it was nice to be an alum and now, full circle working with our staff. So.
Yeah, it's amazing for the students that you work with to be able to see the impact of this program through you too. Can you tell us just a little bit more about what After School Matters is?
Yeah. So After School Matters nonprofit in Chicago, and we basically have a lot of after school programs for high school students, ranging from, almost anything, like, if teens want to learn boxing or if they want to learn music, like I did, or we even have debate programs where teens learn, about poetry or, creative writing. So almost anything you could think of, we like to say we have a program, where teens can participate in. But what I like to say makes the model so unique is, the teens, they actually receive a stipend for their participation.
Okay.
And, we think the program is so important because obviously, after school is some of the most vulnerable, hours for high school students. So it's good if they able to, spend their time learning something, being productive, and also being able to make money along the way. So.
Yeah, it's an amazing program, and it's a very large one. Is that right? Yeah.
Large program.
Yeah.
Most of the students in Chicago public schools. So thousands and thousands of teens, each and every year.
Wow. About how many students are enrolled now?
Yeah, I want to say the exact amount. I'm not exactly sure, but it's well over 10,000 teens that we support every year. So.
That's just really incredible. Wow. So after you graduated high school, you went on to Northern Illinois University.
Right,
Is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
And while you were a student at NIU, you decided to do an internship with Human Connections here in Mexico.
Yeah.
What prompted you to apply?
Yeah, so I was taking this social entrepreneurship course with Mr. Barcine, who was a great mentor of mine. And, he was telling me about this opportunity to intern abroad. And, at the time I haven't, seen the world outside of my home, besides, Chicago and, traveling domestically.
Right.
But I thought the opportunity to, get outside of Chicago, and be able to see a world outside of my own and, work with an organization that's already doing, social impact work. It was very intriguing for me. So
that's what I'm so glad you applied. I'm so glad
I was able to participate.
Yeah, for sure. Well, what was the experience like for you when you got here?
Well, how do you even really describe the experience? It was unbelievable.
Okay.
As I say, seeing a world outside of your own, a culture, that's maybe a little bit different than what you're used to. Coming here, it blew my mind just to see how, they're not as materialistic, as we could sometimes be in the States.
Yeah.
Even just the pace, seeing the values, like how much people value family here, how they value work, hard work. It was just a beautiful thing to see. And, I think for me, it was a moment of reflection.
Okay.
I was able, for in many ways, it made me appreciate America too. But there was so many things that I appreciated about life here as well.
Oh, I love that. Fantastic. Yeah, there are so many differences between, obviously different countries, but I think a lot of times we're surprised by the similarities too when we travel, right? What were some of the things that, once you joined our program and you came here to Mexico, were there any similarities between the two countries that you really weren't expecting?
Some similarities.
Yeah.
Hmm. So maybe I think one is, uh, hmm, wow, maybe just the value of family.
Yeah.
That's one piece I think we tend to care about in America. It matters to us. Um, yeah, I think maybe family is a big one. Um, Work, but in a different way. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think being here, I was able to see families working together.
It's true.
And in America, I think, especially now in this day and age, a lot of people are thinking about generational wealth and,
Right.
building their own empires.
Yeah.
But here you see that too, just maybe in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Mhm.
interesting. Okay, fantastic. You then, so you completed your internship here. You were here for about, about a month the first time, and then you went on to get a group of students together, a group of classmates to come down the following year.
Yeah.
And now in your role with After School Matters, you're also championing more student
Yeah.
travel opportunities, right? For
Yeah,
high
yeah.
schoolers this time. Why do you think that these types of experiences are important for young people?
Yeah, I think sometimes, and I can speak for myself, but I imagine maybe a lot of young people go through this, especially, back in the States.
Yeah.
Life can move so fast,
Yeah.
where, I don't know, sometimes you don't really get a chance to reflect, just in a fast paced environment, be able to reflect on your life, things that you're learning each and every day, and just being able to appreciate life. Sometimes it takes you to step away, and be able to see the big picture. Um, so I think, yeah, it's a gift to be able to see life from a different perspective than what you used to. Um, I think also too, you learn when you travel, like the world is so big, so large, but it's also so small. Like when you travel, you tend to meet people and people that could become your lifelong friends, and it makes you feel like even though the world is so big, it's all yours, and it's, no matter where you are, it can still feel like home. So in that sense, it feels like the world is so small, you know. So I think that's the gift of traveling and being able to see more, being able to connect with different cultures and, just seeing different ways of life, and some of that you learn and, um, you may even apply to your own life, learning how they may do this or how they, how they treat each other. Some of those things you learn and you take it back. So, yeah, I think it just gives you a broader perspective of life, and
Absolutely.
it helps you learn more about yourself, and um, it even helps you. I think I don't want to say reimagine yourself, but um, you may learn things that you want to apply to your own life. So,
I love that so much and couldn't agree with you more strongly on that one. I certainly um, know from experience that travel is transformative, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think many people would agree with that.
yeah.
Is there any specific example that you could share about how your experiences now the three experiences that you've had in Mexico have transformed your perspective, or things that stay with you even when you're back home?
Wow. I think a big one is, um, and it still sticks out to this day, and even more so, like the more I travel here, is wow. So, uh, hmm, money. I mean, it's you know, I found it so like fascinating here, like
Mhm.
coming to see how there are some people that don't have as much as you have, but
Mhm.
they still seem to be happy.
Right.
And you like try to figure out where does that come from, because growing up, I always thought that money equated to happiness.
Right.
um, and um, I mean, I imagine money does help, it does, but it's not the source of your happiness. I think
Yeah.
here I find that they find happiness in each other. They find happiness, in their families, and being able to work, and so it's making me appreciate those simple things. And whenever I'm back home, I try to, center myself and check myself and just remind myself that, um, happiness is really internal,
Yeah.
And you can find happiness within some of the most simple things that we tend to, just, not appreciate because it's always there. So,
I love that you pick up on that, and I really do think that that's a big piece of the cultural differences between these two specific countries. And I'm glad that that's enriched your life. Yeah, yeah. You know, in mentioning money, certainly money is always a barrier to travel. Unfortunately, what are some of the other real or perceived barriers that you feel young people, for example, students that you work with, might be facing, and how would you encourage them to go about trying to travel despite them?
Right. Yeah, obviously the big one is money.
The big one's money.
You know,
Yeah.
I think another one too is like the language. You know, I call back
Mhm.
my family at home, and like, well, you know, how do you communicate? I was talking to my cousin, and you know, I think the language barriers, um, you know, I think that sometimes deter people from, you know, really just getting out. But what I would say is just take it one day at a time. You know, being here in Mexico, the people are so nice, so kind, and you know, really kind of people that's, you know, learn the language, and you know, they try to help you along the way. So you know, you don't have to know it all.
Yeah.
You know, when you come, you know, you just give it your best. You try, take it one day at a time, and you know, you tend to catch on to the language day by day. But along the way, you have, you know, so many good people here that's, you know, encouraging you and helping you. So
I love that you share that. You're right. Yeah, you can absolutely travel to a place even if you don't speak the language,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that basic human kindness, which you radiate all the time, Randiss, gets you really far. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, too, about safety.
Yeah.
You know, being in the world outside of your own that you're not used to, culture that you're not used to. You know, you hear a lot of perceived notions that people have about, you know, is this area safe, or this country safe, or what's going on. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
And even though those are real things, you know, there's even places in the States that are not safe. But
Sure.
you know, I think it's something different when you actually go yourself, and you find that I don't know. It's like the more I travel, the more I see that like the people are. I mean, for the most part, people are good. You
Yeah.
know, people want to help you. You know, you just do your best to stay out of trouble. You know, pay attention to your surroundings just as you would anywhere.
Right.
You know, so you don't want to. I don't know. You don't want that to be a barrier of you traveling and seeing the world. You know,
Absolutely.
being afraid. So
it's beautifully said. Thank you. Can you think of specific ways that you know, organizations like Human Connections, so service providers, travel service providers, or study abroad offices or educators in the space can help students overcome some of those real and perceived barriers to travel?
I think you know, so one thing that really helped for me personally was when you came down and you talked about, you know, the internship. And I don't know, I don't know, it broke the barrier a little bit more.
Okay.
Like I felt even more connected. In fact, it's like when I travel and then I go back home and I talk to people about it. You know, I imagine it helps break that barrier for them too. So I think the more service providers can do to come and actually talk to people about it.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that helps. You know, maybe we talked about the language, you know, and you know, providing opportunities for them to get acclimated with the language. And then, of course, as we talked about, the biggest barrier is, you know, funding and money.
Right.
So that's something that's maybe just educating them on ways that, well, first, you know, even in Mexico, right? You know, one thing that blew my mind was, you know, how in my head, how it would take so much money to travel the world, but there's ways and affordable ways to travel. So educating them on that too, like all the affordable ways that, you know, they can make travel possible. You know, so,
really good point. Yeah.
So like, you know, even here now, you know, I find hostels, you know, or one room Airbnbs instead of renting out an entire house, and it's made travel possible for me. So
there are ways. Yeah. So the first two times that you came to Mexico was through a structured program with Human Connections. And so we helped you figure out like housing and logistics and things like that. But now, you're about to turn 30 years old. You've been in the professional space for several years now, and you decided to come back as an adult traveling on your own. And you even went to one of the largest cities in Mexico, and traveled really without any support at all. Do you feel that coming as a student prepared you for like a lifetime of travel, or would you have attempted this type of travel had it not been for those experiences?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it did. It did.
Okay.
In fact, I'm forever thankful for the internship, with Human Connections, because if I didn't intern, there would have been so much distance between this idea of just traveling the world, seeing it as years ago coming here to Mexico. I don't know, it felt like a second home that I haven't been to in some time, and it gave me the courage to explore more, more of Mexico and, even just more of our world, so yeah, I'm forever thankful for the internship.
I'm excited to see the places that you'll go, Randiss, the different places that you will travel to. I know that this is a starting point for a long adventure for you.
Thank you.
No, of course,
Yeah,
of course. Could you, so we're working together to hopefully make these programs accessible and as powerful as possible for young people. You've certainly been very helpful for me as I help start to understand what those programs could look like and how they could be as enriching as possible.
Yeah.
What elements of the experience that Human Connections offers specifically do you think are most powerful and most impactful? Like why should a student decide to travel with Human Connections versus a different organization?
Yeah. So what I appreciated most about the internship was meeting the local artisans, traveling through the local communities, and really hearing their stories. Like they got these really humbling and empowering stories, that make you feel so connected to the people.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you get that through different organizations. Maybe you do, but it's one thing that I truly remember about Human Connections. Like it gave me a very, authentic experience. You feel me? Of what life is like for people here in Mexico. So that's something I truly appreciate. And I think it's what makes Human Connection special. That you actually hearing their stories, you seeing their work. It humbles you. But there's also these stories of empowerment that you take back with you, you remember, and it make you feel connected, to this place.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
we appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share about this space more broadly, about the idea of traveling internationally as a young person, about your experiences as a young person and as an adult traveling here?
I'll just say, like this world is ours, like it's ours to explore it, and I don't know, along this journey, I've been thinking, like, what if, just imagine a life not leaving your block. Like you couldn't even imagine like what that would be like, or just how much in a box you will be, or imagine a life not ever leaving your city and what that would be like. But there's so much more for us to explore, just even outside of our city. And sometimes we may not understand the boxes that we're in, or that we put ourselves in, just not getting out there to see more of this world. So I think, while we're here, like let's explore as much of it as we can. So So, when you, I don't know, it's like right. I can't imagine what it's like to have not left my block, but I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
Or I can't imagine what life would be like not having left Chicago and seeing different states in the, in the US, but I'm glad I did. And I think people will say the same if they leave, get a chance to explore, different countries and different parts of our world. You probably wouldn't even imagine, what life would be like not having to, so explore as much of it as you can while you can. Because, this world is ours, it's ours to explore it. It's our home, like where you grew up is not just your home, like this entire, universe is our home, so you got to see it. So,
Randiss, that was beautiful. Thank you.
yeah.
I appreciate
Oh, thanks.
so much being able to hear your perspective and the time that
Thank
you share with us here.
Thank
And I'm excited to keep collaborating with you.
Oh, thank you. You're too humble. That. I'm humble by it.
It's
So
mutual. It's
it.
mutual. Yeah. Thank you, Randiss. Fantastic.
Thank you, Ellie.
Okay.
I hope it's helpful.
Oh my gosh, you're amazing. Yes.
I feel like I was